Hey everybody, welcome to Hit Rewind. We are finally hitting year 1990. Yes, I know, I lied. I said we were going to stop in 1989, but guess what? I did not move when I thought I was going to move, and I still have some time. Yay. So what we do on this show is we go year by year going through the pop culture moments. We go through music, video games, now comics we've added, and movies. TV's too convoluted. I don't think it's ever going to happen. But this episode we're discussing the video games of 1990. I'm your host, Michael, and John is on the other side.
Hey.
And what do we have coming up in video games for 1990s? Well, not coming up. I mean, it was 30. Well, you know what I mean. I'm going to shut up now. Moving.
Okay. Well, how about we do some of the businessy stuff? There were a couple of new companies that formed. Natsumi, which, okay, technically they formed a few years prior, but in 1990 they started working on games. And these are the people who are known for, like, the Harvest Moon series.
Uh-huh.
And we also had THQ, known for things like Saints Row and Darksiders, Destroy All Humans, Red Faction. A lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, one of the last companies still around, right? From this era.
Both these guys are still around, although THQ, I think, is owned by someone else now, technically.
Okay.
But, all right. First of all, how about a court case?
Oh,
Nintendo
okay.
versus Color Dreams. Now, Color Dreams, is a Christian company that a year after the suit started calling themselves Wisdom Tree. Was involved in a lawsuit by Nintendo because they found a workaround to Nintendo's lockout chip technology, which prevented unlicensed software from being played on the machines.
Oh, boy.
And since, an overabundance of unlicensed software was one of the reasons that caused the video game crash in 83, Nintendo really did not want to get, a bunch of shovelware stuffed on their machines. So this suit made the realtors liable if they carried software that infringes on any of Nintendo's patents.
Uh-huh.
Now, Color Dreams claimed that their workaround was all legit, but they also were basically stealing from other games and rebranding them with Christian themes.
Oh, boy.
Like, their most well-known game is Super 3D Noah's Ark, which is basically just...
Okay.
Which is basically Wolfenstein 3D reskinned, where instead of Nazis in a World War II castle, you're Noah shooting sleep-inducing fruit at animals on the Ark.
Okay.
Look it up. It's insane and so very obviously stolen.
Looking it up right now. 3D game.
Yeah, oh man, yeah.
That is some ugly. Oh dear lord.
Yeah, and they stole things from like Mario Brothers 2 and a few other games. So it's basically, it's like, yeah, they're still around, I guess,
what?
But no one's really, I think they're just selling their stuff like on PC and online. But Game Genie for the NES came out. Now, this was a cartridge that, for all you youngins, there was a time when you put cartridges inside the player, like a VHS machine. Or actually, no, these days it'd be a Blu-ray or a DVD, but it was a lot harder and you had to plug it in. This was a cartridge that you plugged your cartridge into to stick it in the machine, and what it would do is, manipulate aspects of the game. Yeah, these things are technically still around now, but they're a little more just software encoded as opposed to this as physical hardware. But these codes that you could manipulate were basically just cheat codes. You had infinite lives or level skips, but on occasion you could actually access hidden content that was still in the game.
Okay.
And that's technically, you can still do that in some games as long as it's not physically removed from the coding, but you have to be much more PC literate than I am to do stuff like that. But this led to Nintendo suing the makers, Galoob, and ultimately Nintendo lost. But even though they managed to halt Galoob from selling the thing for a while until the trial was actually over, which is kind of messed up because ultimately it cost Nintendo more money because not only did they have to, pay stuff at the end, they also had to pay for all the profit lost by Gloop during the time that they weren't allowed to make the thing.
Oh, wow. That's a huge loss.
Yeah, because it didn't technically interfere with anything. It was just, it's coding goofing, but it didn't physically, like, I forget what it was, but basically, like, it wasn't as cut and dry as literally someone bypassing, copyright code. But this kind of led the way for the ones for the Genesis, the Game Gear, the Game Boy, all these ones. So they all ended up, it became a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, and these are technically still around. They're a little more like software patches at this point, though. So, a couple of arcade games that we got. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, loosely based off the film. This was this beat 'em up. Used a few of the set pieces, mostly the Smooth Criminal sequence. And you basically just kind of run around kicking and shooting magic at your enemies.
Yeah, it's not a bad game. I kind of liked it. It was a big deal, I think, on the Genesis, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's actually where I played it, was the Genesis version. But the thing is, like, yeah, you had this dance attack that would force all the enemies on screen to dance along in these little choreographed moves. And so they, of course, died. And if you're lucky, you could find Michael's pet monkey Bubbles, and then he transformed into that weird-ass robot from the film, and he, like, shoot lasers and missiles and stuff, and this was a weird fucking game. But, yeah, the chiptune versions of all the Michael Jackson songs were pretty fucking lit.
Was this actually a movie in theaters? I'm trying to figure out what this is. I don't recall this ever being in theaters.
Oh, I don't know if it was in theaters, honestly. I know it was on video and stuff, because that's where I had seen it. It was, like, renting it from, like, a video store.
It says here it was barely released in theaters, but it was ultimately released on VHS and Laserdisc almost immediately afterwards, but it was massive overseas. It cost $22 million, but it made $67 million overseas.
Yeah, it's
weird.
Not much of a movie as it is kind of just a music video collection.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's hard. It's like, because it's Michael Jackson saving kids from an evil guy, but that's also tied in with, again, like, music videos for a lot of the songs at that time.
Yeah.
And
there's even a comic book?
He turns into a robot and the car, if I remember right.
I was just looking at, I remember and this is kind of a side note, sorry, but I just remember he kept doing these experimental films that seemed like they really were nowhere in theaters. Like, where Captain EO, of course, Thriller was really long, and then Ghost, that long-lost video that he did that sat on the shelf forever. I feel like he was trying to make a movie, but it could never stick the landing.
Yeah, I think he also, he wanted to be in Star Wars, I think, as Jar Jar Binks or something.
Yeah, and he wanted to be Edgar Allan Poe. I remember he signed up for that. And other things I've seen him sign up for. He just could never get it going. But that's Michael Jackson. It could have been his own fault. Like, he was just non-committal.
Yeah.
All right, what is next?
Okay, Smash TV.
Oh, the Running Man video game, which I should have.
Set in the future of 1999, you're a combatant on the show Smash TV, which is basically, like you said, the Running Man. And you have to survive a gauntlet of enemy waves. You rack up points and prizes for your kills. Basically, we talked. I'm pretty sure we talked about Robotron 2084 many years ago.
Same damn game. They're both impossible.
Yeah, it's basically the exact same thing, and it is definitely a very difficult game, but it was a lot of fun, and it was also just pointlessly violent and gory.
Yeah, well, the arcade version is much better than the home version, which is what I played recently.
Yeah, well, that's the thing with all these games, because the next one was also on a home console as well, but definitely did not work as well. Pit Fighter.
Oh my god. By the way, I think that's a movie. I think someone made a movie out of Pit Fighter, which at the time looked cool, but decades later, no. No.
No, I mean, it wouldn't surprise it. You could easily do it because it's just a, fighting game where people beat the crap out of each other. Basically, this is one of the first games that used digitized actors on, filmed on blue screen sets.
Uh-huh.
We would later get, a little more perfected version of it in Mortal Kombat, but, basically, it was the first to try it, and it didn't look like garbage. There's not much to say about the game. It's a pretty substandard fighting game.
But it was early in that kind of world. But also, I didn't realize there was a home version by Tengen, the weirdo Atari spin-off company.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Is like the home version was, it still did have the digitized sprites, but they were very, very low res, even for how low res the game was going to look.
Yeah.
Now, one more arcade game. This one I know I've played, but I definitely did not realize how much that this thing could do. But it's G-Lock Air Battle.
I don't know this one.
It's a spin-off of the Afterburner franchise, and basically the game looks and plays like Afterburner.
Oh, boy. I can't play those games because they make me so sick. The way because if it's a flying game but it's top down, almost I can do it nonstop. But if it's front, you're right behind the plane, I get so nauseous. Oh,
you'd have the worst time with this because there was a special type of cabinet for this one called an R360. You strap yourself in.
Oh boy!
And the cabinet itself could rotate a full 360 degrees.
No. Just no.
I know I've played this, but I've never done a full 360 loop in it.
I'm looking at the cabinet right now, and holy shit.
But I do 100% know I've played it, and I've gone back and up and down on that thing, because what it is if you've seen, say, Men in Black 3, how about the little cycles that they drive on, where you've got the you're in the center of this thing, and you can just spin up and down and stuff. Granted, it was cool. I do remember liking it. Now, let's do a few PC games. First of all, the most important one, I think, the thing that has stood the test of time from now, from when 1990 until now, Microsoft Solitaire.
Yeah.
It was included for free, starting with Windows 3.0.
I was just watching The Office, the pilot. She's playing it in one of the early episodes. I'm like, yeah, that game's going to be forever, in one way or another.
Yep. It's on... Literally, this game is on everything now. Everyone has a version of Klondike. It's ubiquitous. But, okay. Commander Keane and the Invasion of the Vorticons.
Wow, I don't know that one either.
This is the first game by id Software. They were under a different name, but basically it's this episodic little platformer. It was actually released by Apogee, and how I got hold of this thing was like they would put the first episode out as shareware. Get you hooked on it, and then you buy the rest. Now, it's fairly generic. Commander Keane, you just run around these areas, shooting aliens. It's like the first Duke Nukem in that way, where it's, kind of colorful, and especially with Commander Keane, it's very kid-like because it's a kid in like a little football helmet doing this stuff. But it paved the way for for two of the games that are going to ultimately change gaming forever. Without Commander Keane, who also does make a cameo in Doom 2. Without this game, we do not get some of the biggest games of all time.
Cool.
Now, Secret of Monkey Island.
Oh.
Yes. Just by that time, I was like, yes, one of the absolute best point-and-click games ever.
I miss point-and-click.
Yeah, it's like made by LucasArts. It's, it truly has the best mix of humor, adventure, music. Like, so much love and attention went into this game.
There was a time when this was the norm for PC games from LucasArts, and then they just, started just going back into Star Wars and Indiana Jones and all the stuff that they had already established, and ditched a lot. I think their peak is Full Throttle.
Yeah. Well, it's LucasArts. It's oh god, who is it? The people who did like King's Quests and Space, Sierra.
Okay.
Like those two are like the two titans of this genre. And again, it's this guy named Guy Threepwood. He's trying a young man who wants to become a pirate, and you have to ultimately do battle with the ghost pirate LeChuck. And like with all point and click games, its puzzles are stupid and stupid hard, and you need to have guides to play these things even at the time, because it's one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, if you don't pick up that one single item, 10 hours ago, you just lost your way into this thing. And it's like, oh yeah, I needed a piece of driftwood. Nothing ever told you to do this. It was just there, and it's like, oh yeah. Like, I love these games. I also hate these games. It's also one of the first ones to implement a dialogue tree, so you can actually have multiple branches in a conversation, as opposed to just simply asking an NPC, what do I do next?
I just love the animation style of all those games too.
Yeah, I love the remastered versions of them, because they take just how good that is and make it look so much better.
Yeah, because you can see back then the deep pixelization of it, which kind of kills it a little bit.
But now, this one I played the absolute shit out of. Wing Commander.
Oh, I just tried playing it. It doesn't work on a console. It has to be on a PC. Yeah,
no, you need to have a flight stick. There's no way to do that on just on console at the time. Like, once you get to like PlayStation, when you had an analog stick, okay, yeah, then you have a flight stick on your controller. But you're a rookie pilot in the Terran Confederation, fighting the evil cat-like Kilrathi in these space dogfights. If you do well, it'll lead you down a path of victory where you take out one of their major forward operating bases. And if you don't do well, your missions start to turn defensive in nature, and it's leading to all the humans retreating from the sector of space that you're in. So you actually had branching pathways depending on whether or not you were actually good at the game or if you sucked.
Yeah, that fucking movie, I was so excited, and I was like, oh no.
Well, especially because the movie was written and I think directed by the guy who made the games.
Yeah, you would just think, but no. It was pretty brutal.
Yeah. But, as you played the game, you progress, you get promoted, you start flying all kinds of different ships. They all handled differently. It was really good. Although, what's funny, you could never actually exit from the game.
What?
When you quit, the game actually does not just end, it actually crashes. And it was a bug. They couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. They couldn't figure out why this bug, no matter, where it was. So they basically they took the error message that you get when it's saying like, oh, error, blah, blah, blah. And it just says like, thanks for playing Wing Commander.
Weird.
So they just hide the fact that the game will crash. And it's just like, thank you. But, all right. How about some Genesis games?
Yes, please.
So, Columns came out.
Yay! I love Columns so fucking much.
Yeah, it's like Tetris is like the main classic puzzle game for a reason, because it's so amazing. Columns is still just as freaking good.
Yeah.
It's this match 3 puzzler where you match 3 colors and shapes horizontally, vertically, and diagonally. Now, this was also released in the arcades at the same time, so you pretty much could go, day and date. You play in the arcades. Oh my god, this is amazing! You go to Toys R Us. Oh look, there's Columns, and it plays just like the arcade version.
And I will say, there's this is around the craze of all the puzzle games, for like the next 5 years, and they really kind of got it right the first few, times. Dr. Mario, Bejeweled, and Tetris are kind of the kings. I tried playing one the other day. It was so fucking confounding, and I could not figure out how to do it. And it drove me nuts. And I think it was one of the bigger ones. For life, I can't. Oh, it was Yoshi's Cookie. I fucking lost on that one.
Yeah, I think I've played that one, but yeah, I didn't dig that one.
Pac-Mania's good. I remember that one.
Now, one that I like, that did get a U.S. release, but totally reskinned, and we'll talk about that later, of course, but I won't tell you what it's reskinned as, but it's a Japanese game called Puyo Puyo.
I feel like I've played this.
You have. Oh, I can almost guarantee you have, but when we get to its release, we'll talk about that one.
Okay.
That's, I think, U.S. release was probably like 94, I think. 94, 95. But Castle of Illusion, starring Mickey Mouse. I know I'd mentioned this one on one of the prior shows. This is definitely one of the best Disney games, not even made by Disney.
Yeah, I remember this is the time when, for some reason, they started finally getting licensed games right. I feel like Bugs Bunny had a couple good ones, and Disney was getting really good, and, because you're suffering years of bullshit. 1990 is pretty bad for licensed movie games, though. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's a ton of those that came out that I'm not even going to talk about. But this one, because, yeah, it's like Capcom really made some of the best Disney games, and those were all on the NES. Castle Illusion was flat out made by Sega, and it's beautiful. It's like one of the most colorful, like appropriately so colorful games. And basically, it's like you're Mickey trying to save Minnie from this witch named Miserabelle, and you go and all. Basically, the Castle of Illusions has all kinds of crazy stuff in it, and I mean, if you've got the little mini Genesis that came out a couple of years ago, you got a chance to play it. But Strider. Now, we missed the arcade release of this in '89.
Strider.
I feel bad because Strider is amazing. It's this hack and slash platformer where you run around this dystopian city fighting the forces of the evil Grandmaster. You got a sword and go around hack and slash things.
Okay, yes, I actually own this. I fucking forgot I did. It was pretty hard. I got this and I got Street Fighter 2040, not the same Street Fighter, people.
Oh, we'll be talking about that one.
Yeah, I got both of them at the same time. I got so confused on which one was which.
But what's funny about this, sad about this really, is this is a really influential game. Like design-wise, character-wise, it's you'll find if you ever play this game, you'll find its DNA in stuff like God of War, for God's sakes. I mean, there's a lot that this thing did, but unfortunately, most people are going to only get to know Strider from the Marvel vs. Capcom games, because that's the only place that he's in now. No, that's not true. They did do a remake of the
original. I was looking. There's a new one.
As it's more like a Metroidvania type game than the original hack and slash, and that one's really good. But again, it was like an arcade title, and as I said, most people only know him as a fighting game character. It's like all the people who play Super Smash Brothers and have no idea who Captain Falcon actually is.
Yeah.
But Phantasy Star 2 came out.
I have never played Phantasy Star.
Well, the first one, it's like this monster RPG and kind of the killer app in a way for the Sega Master System. But this one was bigger, and it was so much lengthier and had a much more mature story. When I say bigger, I mean that this was the first console game to be on a 6 megabit cartridge. So it's graphically this thing was pretty impressive. Like I said, lengthwise this thing was. There was a lot they put into this sequel to kind of. They really wanted it to be like on the Master System. They wanted this to be the killer app. They wanted people to just stick a lot of time in there. And it did well. Let's not get up. But honestly, the series didn't really find its stride until the fourth one, because that's the one that that everyone knows and everyone loves.
I don't know that one. Sorry.
No. I feel bad for you.
I know.
But all right, the last one for the Genesis, John Madden Football, aka Madden 90. It has begun. This is the first one in the unending Madden franchise.
Oh wait, it's still going?
Yes, they're still making Madden games.
I had no idea.
Yeah, so that's why I referred to it as Madden 90, because it'd be like, oh, Madden 2K20 at this point, 221, I think. So it's like, but it's a normal sports game. I didn't play it. It has to be weird and goofy for me to want to play it.
Yeah, I try playing football games, and I just don't get the appeal. I played hockey and baseball, but yeah, the football, just no.
All right, let's jump and run through a bunch of NES games, and then we'll call it quits. How about Yo Noid?
Oh my god, wait, no. Hold on. One of those games is really good. I think it's the Spot game, the 7-Up Spot game for Genesis.
Yeah, Cool Spot is actually a fun game. Yo Noid was not.
Okay.
Yo Noid was, in Japan, a weird ninja game.
Yeah?
But then they, when it came out here, Capcom went and had a tie with Domino's. And so they took their annoying little pizza mascot and reskinned the game into a crappy pizza game. It's... Oh, God. No. I only bring it up because they made a Noid game.
Man, and nobody under 30 knows what the hell that is. Avoid the Noid was a whole... I mean, everybody started getting, remember, their own little characters? And they had, like, the little seats up. Pizza, delivery, pan.
Well, yeah. And that guy's still around. It's, I guess, if I remember right, there's something about, like, there was a guy who actually had the last name Noid and ended up, like, going crazy and shooting someone because there was so much, avoid the Noid and all that.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
I might, maybe it might be just one of those things of misremembering it, but I seem to remember that. I mean, like I said, that could just very well be Mandela effect. But how about, you had mentioned this before, Street Fighter 2010.
Yeah. Oh, it's 2010. I thought it was 2040.
It's like a sort of sequel / spin-off of Street Fighter.
It's so hard. It's so fucking hard.
Yeah, well, it's also in Japan, like I said, it's a spin-off because it sort of exists in that universe for whatever reason. But in the US, the main character is supposed to be Ken.
Okay.
Even though he's like a cyborg man. And yeah, it's a side-scrolling action game. It's mostly notable more for the fact that it's a weird sequel to a game that really wasn't that good to begin with. Mm-hmm. It's like, now here's another weird sequel, Snake's Revenge.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, the sequel to Metal Gear Metal Gear that Hideo Kojima didn't make. So it continues the story. You still have a Solid Snake, and you still are doing all that stuff, but no input from the creator. And then a year or two later, they'll actually go and make Metal Gear 2. So, US likes to do all kinds of crazy stuff with other titles.
Yeah, reskinning constantly and just reinterpreting titles. Yeah.
Now, Mega Man 3 came out.
Still too hard, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful to look at.
It's probably the last really good core Mega Man game. And when we get to start setting outside the Mega Man core games, you'll know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Although any Mega Man fan knows what the hell I'm talking about, and we can't wait to talk about the spin-off.
Yes!
Mega Man Soccer.
Oh. What? That's not what I expected. And Mega Man X is what I thought you were talking about. Are you fucking with me?
Mega Man X? What's the Mega Man X?
I don't know. Never mind.
Okay, and we did miss another arcade game, and I really... even more so than Strider, I really feel bad about this one. Because the arch rivals, which is I can't believe I forgot about this one as an arcade game. Granted, it's a basketball game. It's not as good as NBA Jam, but it is such a great arcadey basketball game where it doesn't take everything too seriously. There's no, it's not no actual NBA teams. They're all just, random goofy characters and stuff. And it was just fun.
Yeah. Would you say this is a basketball game, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I remember this one. Yeah. It has kind of a cartoonishly cover where they're kind of like stepping on each other's heads or something.
Yeah. And that's the entire thing about it was, like NBA Jam later, it was a bit looser in how basketball is played. And you can actually have a little more fun.
Well, it's now referred to as arcade style, right?
Yeah. I think it's probably the second best arcadey basketball game ever. And Castlevania 3, Dracula's Curse. Yeah,
Perfect time for Halloween.
Yeah, prequel to Castlevania, where you're now Simon Belmont's ancestor Trevor, and you're fighting Dracula. But you also get to play. You can swap out with other characters in this one.
Yeah.
Which also one of them included Dracula's son Alucard, which is Dracula spelled backwards.
No, Dr. Acula.
But, Alucard would then be the hero of Symphony of the Night, and that's truly the best Castlevania game ever. So, goofy-ass name and character aside, and Castlevania 3 is still a fun one.
Yeah, I've only ever played the first two, I think.
I'm trying to remember all those Nintendo ones are difficult, but
not Mega Man difficult. No.
I can't. Well, this one lets you actually change direction when you're jumping and stuff. So I think this one was a tiny. If I remember right, this one was a tiny bit easier than.
I think about Castlevania and Ghosts and Goblins because they were around the same era when they debuted. But Ghosts and Goblins is impossible to play. I cannot get through it.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem with a lot of these things. Is there's so many of these games that are just it's not fun.
They're quarter suckers.
Yeah, but that's what was good about. Having these things on console and then getting a Game Genie.
Yeah.
Synergy with my ideas. All right. River City Ransom.
Oh, that was a beat 'em up, right?
Yeah, and here's the thing. I think I've mentioned. I know we mentioned Blaster Master as being, I think, possibly my favorite game on the NES. Maybe River City Ransom is. Blaster Master still has better music.
My favorite will always be Dragon Warrior. I'll take no further comments at this time.
But this was an open world action beat 'em up RPG. It's like, imagine Double Dragon, but then you could also power up your character more, and it was a hell of a lot sillier. It really what it was a lot of. Imagine Grand Theft Auto and Streets of Rage had a baby.
Oh, okay.
Because there was a lot, and I'm talking about original Grand Theft Auto, top down, but it's like you had a lot of freedom to where you could go. As when they said open world, they're not really kidding. It's the place that you go is pretty massive, and you just wander around. You in town. Oh, now you go to a forest area, or if you go in this direction, you go into a junkyard. And if you go down this way, you go into just these huge areas. And to say, Metroidvania, like a Metroid or a Castlevania type games. No, those are large environments that you can only access later on. This was, no, you could pretty much go anywhere. You get your ass kicked, but you could pretty much go anywhere. So, yeah, it's also one of those things where it's on, I think, the little NES, little new, not new, but little NES collector's thing. I believe it's on there, and it's really good. Dr. Mario.
Yay! One of my faves.
Yep. So, okay, aside from being a plumber and a boxing ref, Mario also practices medicine. And it's like a mix between Tetris and Columns, where you gotta match these pills and viruses, like the colors that they have. You have to match these things up to make them disappear.
Right.
But
Do
it's
you
like
remember Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine, which is basically this game?
Oh,
is it right?
Yeah, no, it is. It's a different game.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I do remember Mean Bean Machine. But yeah, this was kind of like there was like those special levels in Tetris where you would have like, oh yeah, the thing is built up so far with holes in them, and you have to try and break these things out, or else you lose. That's kind of how this one was built up. So you could you have parts, things like a couple of viruses floating in the air, or maybe like a pill or something like that, suspended. You have to go and match them up along with everything else that you're doing. It is a challenging game. I came to this one late, but I'm kind of glad I did, because it's being older and seeing that, I got less frustrated than I probably would have as a child.
Yeah, okay.
Now, the first Final Fantasy came out. First part of one of the long-running series with the kind of dopiest name.
Oh, right, Final. Yeah.
Yeah, well, but this tale of the story of why it's called Final Fantasy is basically Square wasn't doing well. They had sold basically bullshit games at that point. This was going to be their final game. So literally, Final Fantasy. And then it hit. And it was massive. Especially over here. It did well in Japan, but overseas, yeah. This was... we had described Dragon Quest, I think, a couple of shows back, and how huge that series is. Final Fantasy was the equivalent here. And it's, the first game, it's kind of a very very simplistic story. You're the Warriors of Light. You have to destroy the evil Garland, who will ultimately become an archdemon. But you also have to go back in time in order to do this. So, your Heroes of Light are, this legend that you're trying to live up to, and it's actually who you are through time travel shenanigans. It's kind of a weird story, and the games only get better.
Yeah, I've never played any of them. I've seen them. They look like Dragon Warrior. I don't know why I've never bothered.
You play Final Fantasy VI. I will phrase it like this. Real fans of the series will fight between Final Fantasies 4 and 6.
Okay.
Or AKA Final Fantasy 2 and 3.
All right. I knew there was something up with that.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who will also throw, you can throw 15 on that pile, but it's still, I don't think the series has really gotten beyond how great 6 was. Even though 7 has a lot of pluses in the...
I was going to say, a lot of people are obsessed with 7.
Oh, yeah, and will be remade, and you always remember your first RPG, and for tons of people, that was Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
So it will always hold a special place in people's hearts, because the first one that they did. And again, I will throw a lot of pluses into the column, and anytime I criticize it, I will have to stipulate to everybody, I played the hell out of that game. I broke the timer and the money clock, getting every single character, all 3 master materias, so I could just sit there and spam Knights of the Round in the last boss. Just spam it, just do it, and then cast Mimic. So all it was just 20 minutes, a boss fight of a 20-minute summon spell. So yes, when I criticize everyone's favorite RPG, I come from a place of going, yes, because I played it. I know what I'm talking about. But, okay, Final Fantasy was still a good game. Now, the final game for tonight is... What do you think it is? It's the best-selling game of all of 1990. It's the third best-selling NES game ever.
Mario 3?
Yes. Well,
Okay.
I was gonna add one more thing, and that was it debuted in a movie. Because we actually got the US debut of this game in The Wizard.
Right.
But yes, Super Mario Brothers 3. I really don't know if this is my favorite Mario game or if Super Mario Brothers on Super Nintendo is.
Mine too. I'm a freak, I guess. I love Part 2 so much. That's the one I played the most.
What's the thing is, I really have to say this. Mario 3, I think, basically perfected the platformer at the time. Like, I'm hesitant to think of anything that you could do after that game. That aside from refining, like definitely Super Mario World is more like is refining the idea of what you get in this game. But it wouldn't exist if you didn't have this game. I mean, granted, you can go back to Mario Brothers in general and say, oh yeah, you wouldn't have any of this stuff without this. But I mean, this is where they added a world map. You had much better. You actually had a good saving feature. You had the Koopalings who made their debut. You had the flight because of the Tanuki suit. It's maybe not the best Mario soundtrack. But it's definitely in like the top 5 of Mario soundtracks. Like, you're hard pressed to ever really say anything negative about this game, other than maybe it has a little bit too much challenge. That'd be about the only negative I could think of.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like Nintendo kind of screwed themselves pretty badly by releasing possibly their best game only a couple of years into the console's life. Nah, there's still some good NES games coming up.
Sorry, I'm getting kind of pooped.
But yeah, that's all I got.
Okay. Coolsy foolsies. Sorry, I'm tired. Alright, so everybody, that is it for 1990 on video games. Check us out on Facebook under Hit Rewind, and where can we catch you?
I'm on both Twitch and Twitter under Musician, MYUZISHION. Come and tell me why I'm an idiot for not thinking Final Fantasy VII is the greatest game ever.
That should go well.
I am asking for it, I know it.
Alright, everybody, that is it. Have a good night.
Peace out.
Alright, we're out. No, we're not. Hit the wrong button. Hi, everybody. Awkward.